You spent money on feed, cameras, a feeder, and now you're waiting on that big buck to show up. But what if I told you most hunters are doing it all wrong? In fact, there's one big mistake that could be wasting your time and money, or worse, hurting your deer herd. Stick around because today we're breaking down the #1 mistake hunters make with deer feed and how you can fix it. Let's talk about one of the common mistakes people make with deer feed. Maybe not the biggest, but something that most everyone does. Feeding corn. Feeding your deer straight corn sucks. Feeding straight corn kind of sucks.
Corn sucks.
You might as well call it baiting. It sucks for the deer, and really it sucks for everyone in general. The nutritional value that the deer get isn't worth the energy that they spend to digest it. It takes a long time for them to break it down in their stomach, and like I said, the digestible energy they gain isn't matching the energy output that they have. It is super low in protein, fat is non-existent. All of the things that help deer thrive, you can't find them in corn. It's just not something that they need. There's carbohydrates, which can lead to better energy, but really, corn is something that should almost be strictly focused on when it comes to leading into the rut, giving them something to push them through. A lot of times people will say they're feeding the deer and really they're pouring out corn, and a lot of times it's hurting their herd and holding them back in a sense instead of pushing them forward, helping them stay energized, helping them keep their weight up as they run for the rut, and helping them reach their optimal potential in the years to come. Now let's talk about what deer actually need. So the #1 thing deer need is digestible energy. You're not gonna find a whole lot of that in corn, okay? So that's what we talked about. Feeding your deer straight corn sucks. If you're just putting corn out, it's not actually gonna benefit the herd the way you think it does. Obviously, you can have a great deer feed mix with corn as the foundation, especially in the fall. If you're cutting it with some sort of roasted soybeans, roasted peanuts, some sort of added benefit that kind of balances it all out. But having just straight corn is going to be getting them, what, 6 to 7% protein, 2% fat, basically no digestible energy. That is something that will sustain them. They're going to come and eat it like it's candy, but odds are they're replacing something that they need more than that with corn. One thing you have to think about when you're feeding your deer is, what are the deer replacing in their diet to eat what I'm giving them? In the spring and the summer months, there's a lot of lush, great forage out there. And if you're feeding deer straight corn, odds are they're gonna stop eating something that's actually good and nutritious for them for that corn. So you're not only not helping them, you're hurting them. You're holding them back from reaching their full potential. You are most likely limiting milk production in your does, which is hurting your fawns drastically. You're holding your bucks back by not helping them reach that threshold of protein and fat that they need to get their bodies to the right place and then eventually get their racks to what you want them to look like. So the #1 mistake hunters make with deer feed, they stop feeding when the season ends. This is the worst thing you can do for your herd as a hunter. I know feeding your deer is expensive, and a lot of times you get to the end of a long hunting season, whether it was successful or failure in your eyes, and you're like, hey, I finally get to take a break. I get to go home, I get to sit on the couch, I get to wash my hunting clothes, I get to use scented shampoo and deodorant, I get it. But feeding your deer up until the end of season and then cutting them off is one of the worst things you can do. They need something to supplement what they can find on their own. They've been running hard during the rut. Bucks will lose 20 to 30% of their body weight. That means a 200-pound deer can get down to 140 pounds by the end of the rut. The more you can get good nutrition to these animals 2 to 3 months after season, right after season ends, all the way until maybe they're dropping their antlers or you're starting to see the first signs of pregnant does. It's massive in terms of helping them finish the season strong and start the next season stronger. Their lows become not quite as low, so they're starting from a better point. For bucks specifically, the more nutrition you can get to them, the more access they have to that quality nutrition, the better their antlers will be, because less of that nutrition will go towards rebuilding their vitals, rebuilding their body in terms of, you know, how weak they get, and more will go towards the antler production. So the #1 mistake, in my opinion, would be you cut them off. You've got them dependent on this food source that you've been providing them for the past 3 to 4 months, and you cut them off, and now they're struggling even more than they were before. Make a little extra effort. Do 1 more feeding after season. Do 2 more feedings after season. Run some trail cameras, see who survived, and really help them start at a much better place than they would have without it. Getting that quality nutrition to help supplement what they can find just readily available is huge in terms of getting them to be able to reach and maximize their potential. So what does fixing this mistake do for you on your property? What might you see? Well, you're gonna see healthier does, you're gonna see healthier bucks that should produce better antlers, and maybe most importantly, you're gonna see the healthiest fawns you've ever seen. You're gonna see fawns that hit the ground, and in those first 2 to 3 weeks, it's huge for them to get great nutrition. Milk production should be up if you've been getting access to the does for that good nutrition, and then obviously your bucks should be reaching new heights that they never had before. Feeding when no one else is feeding, it does a lot of things. Obviously, you could assume that your neighbors aren't feeding, and if you're feeding in, you know, February, March, April, that means you're collecting bucks. And if bucks can find a good, consistent food source, why would they leave? So I would encourage you, try it out. Give it 1 extra feeding after this coming season. Give it a couple extra feedings after this season. See the difference that it makes in the bodies on your deer. See the difference that it eventually makes in the antler production of your deers. And let us know what this simple change looked like on your property. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and click on this ugly guy, and we'll see you next time.